We're staged for another run of nitro-fueled NHRA talk. It's The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts, with Marty Huff and 10-time NHRA winner Doug Herbert. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. Now, here are your hosts, Doug and Marty.
This is The Straight Line on drag racing. Thanks for stopping by our half-hour of horsepower. Appreciate you being with us. Today we're talking four-wide winners as Top Fuel victor. Steve Torrence joins us, as well as Pro Stock Wally winner Chris McGaha. We're staged and set to launch another edition of The Straight Line. Wherever you may be, coast to coast, around the world, this is The Straight Line on drag racing at mrn.com. Along with four-time IHRA Top Fuel champion and 10-time NHRA National Event winner Doug Herbert, I am Marty Huff. It was a good weekend at four wides. It was a great weekend for breaks. We were Thursday. We were out at the golf tournament talking to everybody and anybody who'd come by our table. And
if anybody missed last week's show, go back and listen to the podcast. It was a fun one.
It was really fun. And so good time had by all on Thursday, and then Saturday the pancake breakfast. It was really fun. So it was a really good weekend for breaks.
Great time. We had just a super time. It was great for awareness for the Breaks Team Driving Charity. Just had a super time. The pancake breakfast was awesome. Clay Milliken, of course, was there. Antron Brown provided entertainment. Amanda Busick from NHRA, she's cute as could be, came over and talked to everybody. All of the Coletta drivers, every single one of them.
Including
came over,
Connie.
Including Conrad. Connie hobbled over. Said he was doing pretty good. His knee was hurting him a little bit, but it was a great weekend for me. It was a great weekend for Breaks. It was a great weekend for the NHRA, for the four-wide, for ZMAX Dragway. Yeah. Saturday they had a packed crowd. I mean, that place was standing room only. So it was a great event.
Yeah, and we've come to recognize this. When the weather is even halfway decent, the crowd at ZMAX is some of the best, if not the best, on the tour. That Sunday show usually is about two-thirds to about three-quarters or so. There's probably, except for probably Indy, there's probably no race on tour that
well, according to
draws.
Christian Bird, ZMAX Dragway has more seats than any other track.
Yeah.
They've got over 60,000 seats. And Saturday, they said it was sold out. They didn't quit selling tickets, though, because they figured they had standing room. So they didn't quit selling tickets. So that means they had close to 60,000 people there on Saturday. It was a great event.
Yeah.
I talked to spectators and fans over there manning the Breaks booth. We had the Top Fuel car on display and talking to people. A lot of fans from Australia, from New Zealand, from Europe, from Canada, from the Caribbean, Aruba. Got to a couple guys from Aruba. I mean, they come from everywhere.
Yeah.
This is the only place. I can't emphasize it enough. The track here at ZMAX is huge. It's a big track, which is maybe a little bit of a disadvantage, but not when they're running four wide.
No.
Because that is, whether you're a fan of it or not, I think it's really cool, and it is something you can't see anywhere else. It's cool.
And no question about that. And the four wides, still a little bit tricky for some of the drivers out there, and we were talking about that just before we went on the air. Jake Coughlin, Erica Enders, they both got timed out in different situations.
Yeah.
At the finals for the bikes, both the Harley riders ended up having terrible lights because they were kind of got
They're
tripped
distracted.
up on.
It's like we talked about before.
Yeah.
When you're doing that four ride, you have to focus on there's only one lane that matters, your lane. It doesn't matter if there's one other lane or three other lanes or 50 other lanes. Concentrate on your lane. So these guys that we're going to talk to today on the show, Steve Torrence and Chris McGaha, they obviously figured it out. And curious to talk to them and see what they think now about the four wide. I would think they're big fans.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting because Steve Torrence talked about that in the post-race, and he's got some definite ideas about four wide, and we're going to talk to Steve Torrence next.
If your wiper blades are worn and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and save $8 instantly on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Improve visibility and save money with Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, take advantage of our free wiper blade installation. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is power. freedom. This is tradition.
It's Dale Earnhardt with the lead.
This is being who you were meant to be, where you were meant to be. This is more than a race. This is Talladega. The biggest party in NASCAR returns May 5th through 7th for the Geico 500. Call 877-GO-TO-DEGA for tickets.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcast elevates your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
Keselowski to the bottom of the racetrack. He tries to slide up. Newman is there. Sideways is Keselowski.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
Welcome back to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's more with Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Thanks for being with us here on MRN.com. And joining us right now is the winner of the top fuel category of the 4-wide Nationals here at ZMAX Dragway. Steve Torrence joins us. Steve, thanks a lot for your time. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on the win.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks, Doug. Hey, appreciate you guys having me on. Heck, it means we did good.
That's exactly right. Well, you did good. Just think about it, Steve. When was the last time? So basically you beat 9 guys on, or no, let's see, you finished second in this one round. So you get beat by a car in second round, and you still go to the final and win the race, and then you actually beat 8 guys on race day. That's pretty cool.
That's a pretty good weekend, and you know what? We did get beat by Leah in the second round, but we were able to beat her and Tony in the third round.
Yep.
So it's not many times you get to beat 2 Schumacher cars in one day.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a you know, I mean, even on a regular race day, it's difficult to stack up there, and it's a difficult task to do because those Schumacher cars are running good and they're hard to deal with.
Well, I'll tell you what, your car ran pretty good. Richard Hogan, Bobby Lagana Jr., and whatever help AJ gives you guys now, it seems to be working because top speed of the meet, that Capco car was running great. You were doing your thing. What was your key to winning the 4-wide? You're focused, I know, is one of them.
You know, I've really been doing a lot of work on myself and you know, basically mental training to try to just work on my focus and just the intensity on the starting line. And I've done pretty well all year, but it was the most difficult going into the 4-wide because I've kind of got myself to a point where you go up there and you're just in a zone and it's everything is repetition and reaction. And then you go up there and you got 2 more bulbs and 2 more lanes and figure out where you're at. And when you're in 2, you're on the other side of the tree, and 3's the opposite. So I told you the guys before, I was like, let's try to get lane 1 or 4. That way I don't have to think as much. But you know, it's difficult and it requires a very attentive focus on what you're doing, where you're at, where you're staging.
And you said in the post-race that the 4-wides you were kind of 50-50 on. Weren't quite hot on it, but not really against it. Why? And I'll ask 2 different questions. As your opinion changed now, but why were you coming into this event kind of 50-50 on it?
You know, I really haven't changed. It's a difficult race to win. That's what makes it very gratifying is the guy that typically wins that race just had the best focus and concentration in addition to having the best car. Because, you know, even when your car is running really well, you can go out there and screw that up, you know, roll the beams or not know where you're at, or somebody else can take a long time and you got 3 other stage bulbs coming on. So, I mean, it's easy to be distracted. That's why I am a fan of it. It's one of those races that's difficult to win. As far as not being a fan, we only race in that format 1 out of 24 races.
Yeah.
So it counts for points, and it definitely puts you at a disadvantage. But it, you know, with that being said, it puts everybody at the same disadvantage. So it's just as difficult for everybody else. I think it's really cool, but it definitely makes it a challenge to go out there and do well and gain those points. And when you're fighting for a championship, you know, you want all of them you can get.
Yeah, well, like I say, you got 8 guys beat in one day. That's always pretty good, you know. Just whack them all out at one time.
You know, you go through that thing round by round, and there's no easy rounds because you got 3 other opponents, and you never have an easy round because you can always drop the ball, but you know, some of them you get to kind of slack up a little bit and say, okay, we're going to race our race and not beat ourselves. And you don't have that opportunity in the 4-wide format. You've got 3 other cars, and they're all pushing, and they're all there, and they're all going to be there. So you got to go out there and race to win and race for lane choice also, because you never know what the next set of cars is going to do. And of those 4, there's always 1 or 2 that are not as good as the other 1 or 2. So
hey, Steve,
you can't go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I know your dad's come out and raced a few times each year. What's his schedule? Are you gonna have a 2-car Torrence racing team here coming up anytime soon?
You know, probably not right away. We typically bring him out around Indy. We're thinking possibly Brainerd, but my dad does that stuff for fun. He comes out. It benefits us. We get a little more data, and he likes to race.
Right.
He definitely doesn't want to be a full-time racer. He says, heck, you guys have to travel too much for me. So real fortunate and blessed right now. Work has picked up quite a bit. We're very busy here at Capco, so he's been taking care of stuff while I'm gone, and hopefully by the end of the year we'll be able to we'll be a little more staffed up and a little more manned up and be able to control these jobs better, but we'll stay as busy, and he'll have a little opportunity to come out and race with us. But, you know, our main focus right now is getting my car to be consistent where it's at. We struggled the first few races of the season and kind of found our way back about Vegas, and then we've been just working on the consistency since then and at Houston and this weekend at Charlotte. So I think
yeah, and you talked about a consistent race car. I'm looking down here at the brackets. That car ran within 1,300ths in 3 rounds. That's pretty stout, consistent.
And set top speed of the meet.
You know, Doug, you know the lifeblood of a top fuel car is behind the motor in that bell housing. And the consistency of getting these discs to wear the same and the same torque, and it's dang near impossible, and when you do it, it's kind of like finding a needle in a haystack, and it just we've worked really hard to get there, and I think that was the key to our success last year. We were able to get a good disc pack going in testing, and had enough inventory to run the entire season, and we ran those a little bit during testing, and thought that this new stuff was going to be almost identical, and it wasn't. So it threw us for a curveball a little bit. We weren't able to go out and run the low numbers like we wanted to at Phoenix, and that's when we threw everything out the window and started fresh. And it was a pretty quick road to where we're at. But Richard Hogan, I tell you, he gets better with age. He's like a fine wine. He figured it out relatively quick, and him and AJ put their heads together, and we got that old hot rod doing pretty good right now.
Yes, you do. I'll tell you what, congratulations. Great win over here in Concord at the 4-Wide Nationals. Look forward to seeing you guys down in Atlanta, and good luck. Good luck, man. You're on the roll. You're the only one that can go back-to-back this weekend.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be on. I hope that we can get to do this a little more often this year, and thank you very much for all the support.
Yes, sir.
Steve Torrence, driver of the Capco Contractors Top Fuel Dragster and winner at the 4-Wide Nationals this past weekend. And when we return, another winner, this one in the Pro Stock ranks. Chris McGaha joins us next.
If your wiper blades are worn and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and save $8 instantly on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Improve visibility and save money with Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, take advantage of our free wiper blade installation. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Scratch your NASCAR itch during the week with NASCAR Today.
Fortunate to be driving really fast race cars right now.
We want to keep that chemistry going inside the shop like we've had and keep things positive and having fun.
I'm Woody Kane. NASCAR Today goes beyond the track for a sound that's a little different.
I sure would like to not wreck.
I hate repaves, but it's a part of our schedule. It's a part of our sport.
This is NASCAR driver Brad Keselowski. Listen to NASCAR Today every weekday.
Hi, everybody. This is Mike Bagley. Join me every Tuesday night for NASCAR Live. This one-hour interactive show takes you beyond the typical storylines in NASCAR with the stars of the sport.
The celebration's been fun. I mean, afterwards, I guess I didn't leave the track until like 1:30, so I caught it with my crew in South Beach.
NASCAR Live also gives you in-depth analysis with MRN's top personalities.
Because for me, the decisive moment of this championship was when...
Check it out, NASCAR Live, this Tuesday night at 7 Eastern on the Motor Racing Network.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, once again, here's Doug and Marty.
Thanks for being here on MRN.com. It is The Straight Line, and joining us on the telephone line right now is driver of the Harlow Salmon Chevy Camaro and also the winner of the Pro Stock category at ZMAX Dragway and the 4-Wide Nationals. Chris McGaha joins us. Chris, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you, guys. I'm glad to be here.
Hey, Chris, I'll tell you what, I was looking at the stats, and interestingly enough, right, normally on a race day, you beat your other 4 opponents, right? But this Sunday, you beat 9 guys. You whipped 9 guys to win the 4-Wide Nationals.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Beat more than half the field, I guess you could say.
Yeah, right.
Right, yeah. And, man, your lights were awesome. Just a great win for you and your team.
It was good. You don't have days like that all the time, but when you do, man, you better take advantage of them, and we did.
So who was better this weekend, Chris? The Chris McGaha, the engine builder, or Chris McGaha, the driver?
That's a good. I really don't know, tell you the truth. It all hit at once. Guess it's kind of like sometimes in the engine building when it finally all clicks, it clicks, and I guess it clicked at the racetrack with the driver too this time.
Yeah. You said in the in post race that you guys are, quote, making a lot of smoke, basically saying, you know, there's a lot of smoke under the hood, and this is good smoke because you guys are building about as good a power as anybody at the track.
Yeah, I mean it took us the better part of 18 months to catch these guys, and
wow.
This year I've been nibbling a little closer. And at Vegas we had 2 good sessions on Saturday and really showed that we were getting closer, and then this engine just totally surprised us. It was just going to be a mule motor, something we was going to try some stuff on, and it made power, and I said, you know what, we have to put that in a crate and we have to send it to Charlotte. Because we were going to take a break between the 4-Wide and Norwalk, and we were going to work on our stuff some more and spend time here at the shop and with families and what have you, and that thing, my old man says, I ain't waiting for 6 weeks to see if that thing's fast. You need to get it to Charlotte now.
Well, it obviously was fast. That's for sure. Hey, Chris, tell us a little bit again, and you've told us before on the show, but tell us a little bit again about what Harlow Salmons does. We see that on your car, and fans wonder, what does Harlow Salmons do?
Harlow Salmons is a company that we build oil field equipment to go out and service oil wells. Mm-hmm. We have a website. You can go to it and you can see some of the equipment we build on our website. But we just, they have to drill a well, and after they drill a well, there's so much more that happens after they drill a well for oil. And even years into the future, those wells have to have service on them, and they have to have equipment that goes out there and does it. And the oil industry is a lot like racing industry. There's a lot of little intricate little deals a guy can get into, but we build well servicing equipment and that goes out and can repair a well.
Now, we just talked to Steve Torrence, and obviously his family is in the oil business as well. Is there any overlap between what you do and what Capco does?
To my knowledge, yes. I know my dad has mentioned before, I guess Steve's family has a partner or something, and we have dealt with the guy before, apparently at some point along the lines, because my dad has made mention and the guy has said something before to my dad. So it's not easy it's not that hard to overlap somebody in this industry.
Right. Well, that's a neat thing, too, and we talked to you about this before, Chris, but your racing team is a family team, really, right? Your dad goes, you go, it's a whole family thing. Tell us a little bit about that and how much of an advantage or how much of a great thing that is for you to be able to go to the races with your family.
Well, that's how I grew up. I didn't know any different. I thought everybody went to the races. Going to the drag races, that was kind of like our KOA. I didn't know any better. My dad ran comp, had a dragster, and I thought, well, everybody's got a dragster, So I've known nothing else but this my entire life, and now my own kids are seeing the same thing, and they've got the bug too, and we junior dragster race. But yeah, it's something me and my dad's always done, and now even here years later, we're not all spring chickens anymore, but I can see that it's helping my dad in his later years. It's keeping him motivated into certain things and maybe keeping him young at heart doing it. So I feel pretty good about it, and I think it could maybe keep going years into the future.
And Chris, speaking of family time, you are going to take some family time starting at Atlanta and maybe going through Norwalk. Take us through the process of before the 4-wide started and not really letting your guys know that you were thinking about taking some time off, and then eventually where you are now as far as going to Atlanta.
Yeah, well, last year, I felt like last year, even with the fuel injection, I had told my dad last year, I said, we probably shouldn't go to all of them. I said, we probably ought to miss some because you're going to need to, there's going to be intervals where you go, okay, we're behind on power. We need to stay at the shop and work on the power. Well, we did take some money from some people and had a few obligations to go to all the races. And I should have took a break here last year, and I didn't. And kind of felt like I paid the price because I didn't win a single round between Atlanta and Chicago last year. So moving forward to this year, I was like, 24 races is hard. It's hard when you got a family. It's hard when you have a business, and it's hard just, I live in Odessa. It's hard to get to the races from here. You have to fly puddle jumper no matter what from Odessa. So it takes a whole day sometimes to get somewhere and then turn around and drive 70 or 80 miles to a track. So I had made it up front with my guys at the end of last year that we weren't going to go to probably all the races. We were going to pick and choose and probably go up to the 4-wide this year and then come back at Norwalk. And I had even made mention to them that we would skip Norwalk and put Denver in its place and not do Denver because Denver is such an altitude race and you got to do so many different things for it. And we might just start in Chicago and then could do Denver, but they never really said, so Norwalk was on the list. Well, yeah, then you turn around and you win 4-wide. You're kind of sitting here going, well, maybe I should go to Atlanta. And I didn't want to go. And I was like, you know what? I guess we're got to go. And I had several people in the pit going, man, we should go to Atlanta. We're running pretty good even before the race on Sunday. And I almost made them a bet, like, if we win, we'll go to Atlanta. And I almost told them that. And I probably should have because then it worked out in our favor.
And we've got the tweet up on the screen right now that says, okay, we can go to Atlanta. I didn't plan on coming back until Norwalk, but your 5th Pro Stock win, it's got you a little bit motivated. I don't blame you. Chris, the conditions are going to be really good this weekend if everything holds up right now. So if you're making a whole lot of power and it's really cool, you got a chance to go back-to-back.
Yeah, we do have a chance to go back-to-back. It's funny you mentioned the air is going to be good and what have you. I was actually listening to you guys talk to Steve Torrence at the end. I didn't catch all of it, but I caught enough to say I know exactly what he's talking about when he talks about clutch disc. And that is an issue sometimes, and that is an issue I know we're going to fight when we get to Atlanta. We have had some clutch issues ourselves, and not being able to get enough clutch in our car and having to, you're sitting there going, why am I having to put so much clutch on it? Is it the disc? Is it my clutch unit? What is it? And that was something that kind of worked in our favor. At the 4-wide was the air was bad enough, the motor was down enough power, we were able to put enough clutch on it to make it really go. In Atlanta, I've already told my dad, I've already told everybody that's something we are definitely going to probably struggle with when we get to Atlanta if the air is good. Is our whole clutch, whatever we got going on in our clutch system.
Well, the good thing, you're the only one that can go back-to-back race wins down in Atlanta.
You got that right.
You've got a little bit of an advantage right there. You're on the roll.
Yep. Yeah, and that's like they said, you got momentum. You need to go to Atlanta. And I tell people, in pro stock, the momentum is created by having enough performance and enough power to have the performance. You can, you create your momentum in this class that way. And obviously it clicked, and now I've won a race, so that helps the momentum plus the performance side of it. So, yeah, it's definitely a lot of momentum going to Atlanta.
Well, great job over here winning last weekend at ZMAX Dragway. Congratulations, and good luck down in Atlanta this weekend.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Driver of the Harlow Salmons Chevy Camaro, that is Chris McGaha, winner of the 4 wides. And when we come back, we will wrap up another great edition of the show.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
If your wiper blades are worn and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and save $8 instantly on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Improve visibility and save money with Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, take advantage of our free wiper blade installation. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Online and on the air, MRN is live from the track on MRN.com and the MRN app. Check out all MRN race broadcasts, pole qualifying and practices, plus exclusive motorsports programming live on your computer or mobile device. Or go to MRN.com to find your local radio station's online stream. Don't miss a second of NASCAR racing action. Listen live online at MRN.com, the MRN app, or your local station.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, back to Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Appreciate you being with us here on The Straight Line here at MRN.com. Headed down to Atlanta Dragway, and the weather conditions, as we were talking about with Chris McGaha, looking really good. As a matter of fact, it may be actually a little bit too good. Friday, they're predicting highs of maybe high 50s, 58, 59 degrees or something like that. For fuel cars, that may be a little bit too tight.
Yeah, for the Pro Stock cars, will probably be fine. For the top fuel cars, you get to a deal probably on Friday night where it's really cool, the air is really good, and you simply can't detune your engine enough for that kind of condition. So there's, typical deal. There'll be a couple cars that go down there and fly, and most everybody else will have problems. Generally, I mean, that's just historically that's what happens. So I wouldn't expect anything different probably down there.
For the naturally aspirated cars, though,
should be good. If the track's
really
good, if the track's good, the Pro Stock cars should run very well, and the bikes. Maybe there's a 200-mile-an-hour run. I don't know.
And Saturday and Sunday, though, kind of the opposite deal, where they're talking about highs in the high 60s, maybe low 70s or so. That's pretty optimum conditions for a fuel motor.
Yeah, that should be great. Some of the guys that have our number one qualifier the last 2 races, Clay Milliken, that might work out into his favor too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Really.
No doubt.
So pretty happy to see that. And our guy that we just had on, Steve Torrence, top speed 329 miles an hour. I'll tell you what, it still makes me mad when the funny cars run faster than the dragsters. So that's just not right.
No, it
happens. Should not run faster than a dragster.
And they're still doing that, and it's probably not going to change anytime soon because the rules are such that it's probably going to be pretty much the same thing. Big thanks to Chris McGaha and Steve Torrence for joining us on The Straight Line. So for Doug, I'm Marty. We will talk to you next week right here on MRN.com and The Straight Line.
You've been listening to The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. The Straight Line is the show for drag racing fans and was brought to you by Hercules Tires. Tune in again next Thursday on MRN.com and the MRN app. The Straight Line is also available on demand in MRN.com's Media Center, on our Facebook page, on YouTube, and in iTunes or the Google Play Store. The Straight Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network.